Welcome back, troglodytes. We got another one of these in, the Zakk Wylde Les Paul Custom Signature. Now this is a very early one. This is from 2001. It was the 331st one made. I think that one we had earlier this week was in the 900s or so. So this is definitely an earlier one. And this thing has been gigged. It's actually been signed by Zakk Wylde and heavily gigged. It's basically the aged and signed version without the aged and signed price. So even though this thing was gigged very heavily, basically the only thing that means for you is you've got some chipping of the finish along the edge here. And what kind of causes that is it's really common on customs that the binding will be a little bit lower than the actual finish, just a small little bit, and so when it catches on something it'll chip like that. I mean, it's not falling off. I mean, you can pick at it all you want, it's not going to chip off, but it is definitely a very worn looking guitar. It's got a very cool vibe to it. I thought I would redo this Zakk Wylde one, get another one of these in, learn a few Zakk Wylde songs, play them, and we'll see how this one goes. So let's take a look at the condition. Here you can see the face of the headstock has lots of scratches from string changes and just average, gigging wear. You've got some small dings there. That's not dust or anything, that's just some small indentations. I'm not sure what's going on. Some scratches there. I mean, no headstock breaks, cracks, or repairs though, thankfully. But lots of wear onto the face of the headstock in the form of light scratches. Original Zakk Wylde Truss Rod cover says Les Paul Custom on it. Now the nut has been replaced. You can see there's no lacquer over the edges. This was set up for 13 gauge strings, but the strings that were on it were toast, so I put 10s on it. So this nut is probably slotted for 13s though if you like a heavier gauge. It plays evenly up and down the neck with nice low action. You might want to set it up to your own personal likings. Once again, I did change the string gauge, and you might want to change it back. But the frets, for as worn as this guitar is, the frets are actually in pretty darn good shape. You just have very, very minor wear, really. Some very light divoting, but not a lot. It plays beautifully. Perfect ebony fretboard with block inlays. Onto the front of the body, and once again, this is where all the wear and tear is at. You can kind of see basically along just the edge of the finish here is where there's all that chipping and whatnot, and lots of indentations, but we'll just kind of run you along the edge here first. This is where it kind of gets the heaviest, is right there. It's mainly probably caused from your strap rubbing against the finish, but overall, I mean, it's not as bad in person as it kind of looks in photos. It's definitely got that well-worn vibe. And now we'll go over here and you'll see all the nicks and dings just in the top of the guitar. I mean, these Zakk Wylde Customs are meant to be played because they really do exude a certain kind of power and authority when you play them. They make you play a certain way. Maybe part of it's the powerful EMG pickups, 81, 85. Once again, this guitar is pretty well stocked, except for, once again, the nut. It looks like the Dunlop strap locks were put on this guitar. And the saddles were switched out for Graphtex. The original saddles are included, though. But besides that, the guitar is stock. Back of the headstock, Zakk Wylde 331, and there's where he signed it in 2003 at a concert. I forget where the original owner said it was, but that was with a Black Label Society. So very cool to have one signed by Zakk Wylde. You've got some edge wear at the top, but nothing, too extreme. I mean, it's definitely a gigged guitar. Don't expect a mint condition one. This thing was absolutely filthy when I got it, but I took all the parts that should be cleaned off. I sterilized them, and they're good to go now. The cool thing about the Zakk Wylde Les Paul Customs is they have maple necks like the Gibsons in the late 70s, early 80s did. So I believe Zakk's was like an early 80s, 81 or so. So you'll see the three-piece maple neck has some very light figuring to it. I mean, I wouldn't call this a flamed neck by any means, but it definitely has some very light figuring to it. But, For the most part, there's no major nicks or dings. There's a few tiny ones here, but nothing like really obstructing the finish too badly. Back of the guitar, signed by something called Bleed Black label, but that was at the same 2003 show. But the back, you know, surprisingly isn't super chewed up from buckle wear or anything. When you see the front, you would almost guess that, but mainly it's just some small dings here and there. You've got some finish, like looks like a strap was rubbing against it there. You can kind of see those dots. So, I mean, the back's actually in pretty darn good shape. I mean, you've got some light discoloration and all, but overall pretty good. It's the sides where you'll start to see a lot of ding. You got some light cracking on the binding, but it's not, you know, falling apart or anything. But lots of nicks and dings on the side, buckle indentations, rivets, all that. You got a little bit of stand wear there. But, I mean, this is a really cool one. I like this one better than the one I had a little earlier, just because, you know, it's been aged and gigged very heavily. So, you're not as scared to play this one because it's already been worn in over, you know, 16 years. This is the 2001, and it's just a fantastic guitar. I mean, once again, you've got lots of light nicks and dings in the top. There's a pretty sizable ding here on the side, but just imagine this as a very well-aged guitar and you will be fine with the condition. One small area to point out is there is a little area of chipped finish right there along the binding. We'll take a look under blacklight here. You can see everything's good on the face of the headstock. Look at the body here, you can kind of see the wear along the edges a little bit better, as well as some of the just, you know, dents and dings. I mean, it's a heavily worn guitar, but it's not trashed by any means. It almost looks like somebody had stickers on this guitar at one point in time. You can kind of see the outlines, but there's no like sticky residue to it. So maybe that's why the finish actually came up. They removed the stickers, but I'm not sure. And that's just a long scratch. That's not a crack or anything right there. Overall, everything looks good on the front. You can see on the back of the headstock you've got some wear at the top. Once again, Zakk Wylde signature from 2003. And what's kind of nice about the exposed maple neck is it still does have a finish over it, but at least you can see if there's been a repair or not. See some very minor wear to the neck's finish, but nothing too bad. No buckle rash to really see. Everything's good here. Take a look at the side here. Just your average wear and tear. So this is a really cool guitar, guys. I mean, I really did enjoy playing this one more so than the last one, just because, you know, it's more worn in. I'm not as scared to, you know, really thrash it out. I was shocked when I put this on the scale, so shocked I had to go over there and put it on my other scale just to make sure it was right. 9 pounds, 9.9 ounces. I thought it was going to be heavier than that. This guitar does come in its original Gibson custom art historic case that is very beaten and tattered. This is definitely a heavily gigged case. You can see all the wear on the outer Tolex. But 1, 2, 3, 4, and all 5 latches are there. You can see kind of on the back here, you've got some peeling up of the Tolex, but you know, overall nothing too bad. Unfortunately, the lid ribbon broke, so it just kind of lays open. It's not supported or anything. But, I mean, it still is a great case. It looks like you got some packing peanut residue in here yet. It still protects the guitar. You can see it's been put away wet quite a few times. Well played and dirty. When I said this is one of the dirtiest guitars I've had, I mean it. It took me about 3 hours to clean the thing. But you've got some dirt and sticky build up there. Right here you have the original gold saddles that you could reinstall if you wanted to, as well as a truss rod cover and a case key. And yes, miraculously, this one still has the giant piece of paper. Now, I'm going to fold this up and put it in there, so it's not going to be perfect and pretty, but, you know, at least you have it. For the clean tones, we'll be running through a Gibson Super Gold Tone GA30RV. For distorted tones, we'll be running through a Marshall JMP 1C. If you think you might be interested in being the next owner of this Gibson Les Paul Zakk Wylde signature, feel free to contact me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Troglys, Trogoys, or check out the Reverb and eBay listings. Alright, Troglodytes, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.